Okay, so I think we'll just get started, and hopefully with the introductions everyone will get to come in and whatnot. Good afternoon, my name is Zeshan Sattar. I'm a Microsoft Certified Trainer in the UK, and I don't think I will be for much longer given the new rules, but we'll see what happens there. As you can see, there's me actively training, and that's me teaching the MTA back in 2010. And literally what's happened is the MTA has transformed my life. So I went from a classroom trainer to a bit of a fancy title there, head of curriculum development, but basically a program manager is what I'm doing really. I'm not actually delivering the classroom anymore, I'm more deciding what course we're teaching. And every so often, I like to get my feet wet. You know, I just jump onto one of our online training sessions and get training. So a lot of trainers sometimes just have to force me to get off, saying, "Hey, you know, like this is our scene, go away." So I love training, and hopefully, and actually also I love the MTA. So I'll tell you what the MTA is about. Talk about some of the challenges that we've got, the opportunities that exist in our industry right now in academia, and what resources are there to support you. So. First of all, let's start off with thanking our sponsors. Thank you so much, sponsors. It's very kind of you for sponsoring this event. And please sponsor more MCT events in the future. Thank you. Okay. So, in terms of my involvement in the MTA, I alluded there back in 2010. So, unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand the MTA has been around for some time now. In 2010, myself and quite a few other people got a message from Microsoft product manager called Krista Wall, and she said, "Hey, we're creating a new certification for academics. Do you want to get involved?" I said, "Yes, absolutely." And we said, "Okay, could you review the objective domains?" So yes, absolutely, we'll look at the objective domains. We opened up the email that had the objective domains. It was completely empty. So basically, what we MCTs had back in 2010 was the fact that we had a blank page to work with, and we basically mapped out the infrastructure and the developer MTAs at that time. So I worked on the objective domains. I've also done so there's a technical review on the exam review kits, the student study guides, and the Microsoft official academic curriculum. As well as that, I've also worked on the practice test that MeasureUp makes. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you folks is MTA is in my blood. And it's like every morning I wake up, well, not every morning, but most mornings I wake up and say, "Hey, what can I do with the MTA today?" Okay, so like I said, we're going to start off with telling you what is the MTA. So if you, so I was doing a bit of shoulder surfing earlier, and I noticed some people were putting MTA into Bing, and things like the transport service in America was turning up. Actually, MTA stands for Microsoft Technology Associate. And quite literally, it's supposed to be at the bottom rung of the Microsoft certification track. So basically, as you can see on the little pyramid there, it falls beneath the MCSA. Up until quite recently, the MTA had to share the bottom rung with the MCSA. Microsoft looked at this and said, actually, that doesn't work anymore. There's been a bit of change at the top there. They're going to still keep the top. The top's going to be some advanced certification, not going to be the MCSM, but definitely want to highlight the importance of the bottom rung. So what they've done is on the actual Microsoft Learning website and all the different paraphernalia that Microsoft Learning produces, MTA has got its own bottom rung on the certification pyramid. So it's got a fourth track at the bottom. Everything on Microsoft Learning's website has been updated to make sure the pyramid highlights the bottom rung there. And I wasn't too sure how big my screen's going to be, but you guys, if you can't see it, there's the bottom rung. So if you haven't noticed on the Microsoft Learning websites, that's where it's happened. They've actually put a bottom rung, and they haven't really made a big fanfare about it, but there it's there. So quite simply, it is. Oh, sorry. Okay, so quite simply, there's two ways you can take an MTA exam today. If you're in an academic environment, so for example, a school, a college, a university, you can go to CERTI and buy a site license, and you basically can get, I don't know, like, so it's like 1,000 exams for, I'm sorry, I'm going to use UK sterling here, so for about £2,000. So it comes out as like £2 an exam. So realistically, and if you're a commercial provider, you will go to a Prometric testing center. So just as normal as we take our normal MCP exams, we've got the Prometric testing center to take those. The retail price of our MTA exam with Prometric is significantly higher. It comes out at £65. But it depends if you're buying a la carte, one at a time, or if you're going for buying a site license where you get lots of exams in one go. So we got students that hopefully will take our MTA exams at the CERTI testing center. And we've got professionals who will take the exams at our wonderful Prometric testing center. So there's two distinct groups. Now this is quite new. This didn't really exist until December of last year. So it's only been about a year since the MTA was available commercially. Just a little show of hands. Has anyone actually delivered MTA in a commercial environment? Okay, so it's 1, 2 hands there. Excellent. Okay, so we'll hopefully get you to into academia as well. No, actually delivered MTA in commercial. Okay, excellent. Okay, excellent. Okay, well, we're going to come to that in just a second. Okay, well, a bit later on. So, nice little slide there. Basically, it is an entry-level certification. It's not meant for the higher levels. It is quite simply a taster into all things Microsoft. Now, if you're thinking, if you're a young 16-year-old, you're probably being corrupted by Google and Apple. This is a point where you're going to say, actually, hold a second, Microsoft is cool. And the MTA was actually designed, like I said, initially to be delivered in schools, in academic environments, by academics. So that is a very important point. It was a solution for academia. Now, I want to tell you a bit later on, will actually shock you, because it hasn't quite worked out as it was hoped. So before we come to that, let's just give you a look at the MTA portfolio. It covers a whole lot of exams there. We've got a whole lot of developer exams, from software development fundamentals to some very cool and sexy stuff such as mobile development fundamentals, HTML5, gaming as well. And also we've got the IT infrastructure track, operating systems, server, networking and security. Absolutely wonderful portfolio. And also a wonderful exam for databases as well. So a lot of skills are covered with the MTA. So I would like you to just cast your minds back. Maybe when your first IT job, when you're in school and in academia yourselves, if you had been given an opportunity to study these certifications, how further would you be on your career? Could be quite far. Okay. So what's not included in that list of portfolios? Just about a couple of months ago, in September, a new exam was launched, the 98379 Software Testing Fundamentals. So this was brand new. It was launched, the exam's available right now, English only. Other languages are coming very soon. You can get the exam review kit and the student study guide. The exam review kit is going to be available shortly on the Microsoft Learning Download Center for you to get, but the student study guide can be downloaded from the CERTI website. Has anyone actually done the exam? Can I see some hands if you've done an MTA exam? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 hands. Okay, so just going to go through and talk about the exam format. So quite simple. It's got approximately 35 questions. They're changed depending on the exam and depth as well. 45 minutes, and some people think that's a lot of time. Who finished their MTAs ridiculously fast, like 10 or so minutes? Yeah, can I see some hands? Yeah, so yeah, exactly. Sammy and Nanve. Okay, so what's actually happened is we had a bit of that same kind of backlash in academia as well. The crazy thing I saw was a student went in to take an MTA exam. 4 minutes later, they finished with 97%. That is crazy high. So what's actually happened is that kind of feedback's gone back to Microsoft Learning, and they said, okay, let's beef up the exams types. Let's beef up the depth of the questions of the exams. And at that time, you only had multiple choice questions and a few select in place. There weren't any trick questions. Microsoft don't do any trick questions. That's what they say. And if you do pass, you get a wonderful certificate like that. So this is for young people. Imagine a young person passing their first IT training certification exam, getting a nice, cool certificate signed by Steve Ballmer. Hopefully somebody else in the future. We'll see. Okay. So the exam was updated, and the kind of things they've added are new item types, which we'll come to in a second. There's also going to be new technologies coming soon. So for the infrastructure exams, the operating system, server, security, and networking, we're going to get some new content. So we're going to get some Server 2012 and Windows 8 content. First half of 2015 is what Microsoft's saying. Developer exams, so going to be some new questions introduced right now. But in the game exam, they've actually removed reference to XNA. And in the database exam, there's going to be SQL Server 2012, hopefully, probably at the same time as the IT Pro exams. Okay. So they're constantly looking at the MTA exams. There's going to be updated with the content. So unlike the MCP exams, which have to have a new exam, like a new version, like for example Windows 8, next version of Windows, next version server, we're going to keep the same exam titles, just update the content. Yes? No, what's going to happen is a case of the exams titles, because they're going to stay the same, they will never retire, as it were. So until they could probably do a version 2, which you probably go and retake as such. But right now, for example, I hold all the infrastructure exams. I'm not allowed to take any of the updated exams until they probably release a version 2. But at the moment, Microsoft haven't really said what they're going to do yet. But they aren't going to retire. Yes, Sammy. Oh, sorry, yes, I will do. Okay. The question was, are the exams going to retire? And the answer was no. Okay, so in terms of the new item types, they're going to be graphic interpretation exams, it's a question type. So rather than being point and shoot and click this, click that, they're going to show a graphic and say, okay, right, what can you do here? What can you do there? How would you configure this? How would you configure that? And then basically have to have some cognitive reasoning behind it before they select their answer. Another exam type is statement correction. So they're going to give a statement, underline part of a sentence or a full sentence and say, is this correct? Or would you change it for something else? So again, quite simple, multiple choice, but a bit more cognitive thinking rather than saying it's A, it's B, it's C. There's a bit more going around in the background there. Next is going to be statement analysis. So statement analysis is pretty much, okay, so best way to think of it is true and false really, but on acid. So literally going to give it a little statement there and say, what element of knowing this statement is true or false, so yes or no. That's pretty much it in terms of the MTA. So hopefully if you haven't heard of the MTA before, you're probably a bit more enlightened now. But like I said, in academia there's a massive challenge right now. It's a case of, although it was an exam made for schools, designed for teachers to go and teach out a book, etc., the teachers themselves, especially in the UK, and I was talking to my colleague earlier, and he's from Italy, the teachers are having that lack of experience there. We don't have them quite suitably qualified or have that sort of industry knowledge. So first kind of challenge is that we're finding, as you all know, you pick up a newspaper, you pick up a magazine, every time it talks about there's a lack of skills, there's not enough skills in IT, and this whole idea that in IT, in schools teaching for IT, it's got to be better, it's got to be more robust, it's got to be more depth. And there's a massive skill in terms of they're going to need 1 million IT professionals globally, 500,000 in the UK over the next few years. These are kind of statistics I think are going across Europe, across the world. But we don't have those people. And that's why the Microsoft and other vendors created these entry-level certifications. Just mentioned before, the faculty themselves who are supposed to go up there and teach these wonderful exams, they don't have the skills themselves. In the UK, up until 2012, September 2012, the IT classes were being taught by non-specialists. So the gym teacher would teach IT, the religious education teacher would teach IT, the maths teacher would teach IT. So people who had no real business teaching IT were going in and teaching IT. Why? Because it was Office. And it was being taught badly. Now, I think Office is a great subject, and people teach are fantastic, but it should still be taught by specialists. What we then found is a case of, okay, let's grab the old IT curriculum and have a brand new open source curriculum. And the specialist teacher was supposed to come in, and we found that they couldn't do the job because they were either rusty, didn't have the skills, they were out of date. And I think the one thing that we MCTs have, which no one else really have, are the war stories when we're going out and working in industry and saying, hey, I was working at this company and this happened, this is what you need to know from this story. So they couldn't actually give that kind of teaching. And MTA classes are being cancelled all over the place in the UK. What we do, I'm going to talk about apprenticeships in just a moment. In the UK, we do apprenticeships where MTA tends to be a core component. And unfortunately, every other week I see a message going up on Facebook, LinkedIn, and wherever, and someone saying, hey, I need an MTA trainer for networking. I need an MTA trainer for software development. And unfortunately, they go cancelled because they can't find the right trainers, or if they find a trainer, they tend to be without the right skills. They're new trainers and they're not really sure what they're doing. And if they can't find a trainer, well, it's an entry-level class that's being cancelled. It's not a high-end class. This is something that's bread and butter for everyone out there. It's the entry-level classes. So, oh, sorry, question? I think it's fair to teach the right skills that they need to succeed. For example, okay, right. So, okay, great point. But I'm gonna respond to that right now. Okay, so it's a case of it depends where you're teaching it and where you are. For example, I'm going to talk about apprenticeships in a second. Apprenticeships is a case of it's delivered on the job, as it were. So they are probably using server structures right now. Hence, they need the skills. So yes, let's see where the certification landscape in the industry is in 5 years' time. But what we're talking about is teaching actually people as part of an apprenticeship as a work-based learning program. Okay, does that help to answer your question? Yeah. Yes. 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 Exactly. And that's the case. Okay. Okay. So sorry. The question. So let me explain the question. Sorry. Okay. So my colleague here is saying that by teaching server infrastructure, my colleague is stating that it's going to be a dead-end industry because Microsoft are moving to different services and tools as well. That's what's being affirmed. Okay. Okay. So we've got some comment. Okay. Go ahead, sir. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think you two need to get together and have a little conversation. But what my his colleague was saying here was a case of there still is a need for the teachers of fundamentals, and I agree with that point. In terms of your point, it's a case of you'll see where I'm coming from in just a second. Okay, so in terms of apprenticeships. Okay, so what's happened in the UK? The MTA has become a very massive cornerstone of teaching within an apprenticeship, because an apprenticeship is something that has to be taught on the job with some national and vocational qualifications. The fantastic element of it is the MTA can form part of that qualification, which we'll look at in just a second. Okay. Is anyone actually familiar with UK IT apprenticeships at all? Anyone at all? Okay, so going to be brand new stuff here. Okay, so basically, part of the apprenticeship, the point of apprenticeship is the young person, typically aged between 16 to 24, is working on a job, and they basically complete a series of qualifications as part of the learning. So they do what we call a technical certificate. This is a knowledge component. So for MCTs, the best way to think about this is a case of pulling someone out off the job for 5 days, put in a classroom, and teaching them something. Okay. The next element that they have to do is something called ERR, Employee Rights and Responsibilities. So what that's all about is a case of they learn their employment rights. So imagine this is a 16-year-old, first time in a job role. They need to know where they belong in a workplace, for example. There's something called competence, a competence diploma. So this is actually delivered on the job. So the idea is that they go through the knowledge component off the job, so basically in a classroom learning something, and then we have to assess them where they can actually carry out those skills successfully in the workplace. And finally, there's a big massive issue about, as you might know, for young people not having the right soft skills. So there's a lot of emphasis on soft skills. So we teaching them, at some cases, English, maths, and basic ICT skills, and also talking about personal learning and transferable skills. Now, what we'll find is in every training provider in the UK that offers apprenticeships, they'll try to make it attractive to the employer to come to them by offering vendor certification. So the vendor certification that tends to be used a lot is the MTA. Okay, so let's look at some of the UK qualifications that we have. So we have there's a whole load of other UK qualifications that have MTA embedded into it. I've just taken 3 different types. So the first one is a Pearson qualification, and this is a competence qualification. So as part of this is something that's delivered on the job. So if they complete an MTA, it counts for this. This qualification is about 540 learning hours and 72 credits. The second one on the list there is an OCR qualification, the Oxford and Cambridge Board, and they offer a level 2 certificate in ICT system principles. This also has MTA, and this is actually the knowledge component. So this is actually delivered off the job. So this is actually the classroom training. And finally, I've got a school qualification, that's the Sitting Guilds Level 2 Award, which is actually only about 20-ish credits as well. Now, an MTA, if you do 2 MTAs, you can get the last qualification. If you did 3 or 4 MTAs, you get the OCR qualification. The Level 3 Competence Diploma, you can't just use MTAs, you have to have other things as well. But it's quite possible, if you want to, you can combine it with MCP and MCSA and MTA certifications and get the top qualification as well. Okay. Unfortunately, not all MTA exams are available on the qualification register. At the moment, we only have those exams. The reason behind it, there's going to be a massive shake-up in the UK about apprenticeship training and whatnot. So everyone's holding fire, not adding anything more to the portfolio until the change, basically. But there are some awarding bodies out there, like Sitting Guilds. If you actually take another MTA, such as HTML5, they will actually allow you to have credit for the web development fundamentals. So there are ways to get around it. Okay. So I know we've got massive contingent of people from Europe. Has anyone actually heard about the digital agenda for Europe? No? Okay. So basically what's happened is Microsoft and a whole lot of other vendors have said they're going to pledge something to enhancing the skills of young people in Europe. So Microsoft Pledge is actually all about apprenticeships. They're going to say, hey, we're going to actually double the amount, or add 50% extra to already 9,000 apprenticeships that we're doing in UK. As well as that, Microsoft is also part of the group of people changing how apprenticeships work in the UK. So they're going to say, hopefully, that as part of the apprenticeships, you have to take some MCP exams and some MTA exams to actually be suitably qualified. So there is a massive shift how apprenticeships are being done right now. Another opportunity is we also have something called a secondary schools certificate called the GCSE, and that is taken by young people aged 15 or 16, depending on when they were born. And computer science becoming a big thing in schools right now, and it's now embedded into the computer science GCSE. So what I found is one of my colleagues is actually going out and doing some remote training for teachers every other week online for 2 hours after hours for school times, and giving teachers how to teach the MTA as part of the GCSE program. So there is a lot of opportunity to do that in UK. So in terms of US, there's something called career clusters. Any US people? I know Seth, you're from the US. Any other people from the US there? No? Okay, just Seth. Okay, sorry. So this is for Seth. Okay, so every state in the US have something called career clusters, which basically map the kind of skills they need to job roles as well. So using North Carolina as an example, they've gone and done a whole massive mapping of every single MTA to the different career clusters, for example, agriculture, medical sciences, etc. And the mapping looks something like this. So what we can see from that is every single MTA can count to some kind of career cluster. So what's happening in the US is, hey, if we're going to create some kind of training towards this career cluster, someone wants to work in agriculture, they've got to take the MTA OS. So that's actually a big opportunity in the US there. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. So the question was, will MTAs or any vendor certification in the US count towards a degree? Okay. As far as I know, because of the different states and whatnot, no. Okay. But I don't know if you come across degree.com, the digital diploma. So that's actually open to everyone in the world, and you can basically put your credits in for courses that you've done at different colleges and universities, as well as any certifications as part of your lifelong learning. So it's a case of, it's a digital diploma of life, as it were. So I definitely recommend go to degree.com. Okay, great question. Okay, okay, right. So what I want to talk about is Microsoft aren't the only people that are battling for our young minds. So we're talking about the 16 to 22-year-olds. That is the target age group. I'm sure you're all aware of CompTIA, A+, Net+, Server+, etc. They were there very early on in the 90s as well, and they did a good job. They're doing still a fantastic job right now, but somehow they just never had that traction in schools. So what's happened is a case of the MTA came along and it changed certain things. But before the MTA coming along, we had the Cisco CCENT. Okay, so that's and all the Cisco networking and stuff. So there's a bit of competition right now. Okay, also recently, about a year or so ago, HP got into action, saying, "Hey, we want the entry-level market as well." So there's a lot of battle going on, but notice the different placements. So HP are going for more like university students. Cisco are saying we're going to go across the pathway of school students and university students. CompTIA, they're not really sure where they are anymore. But the MTA saying, hey, we want young people. We want them from 16 or 15 onwards to actually start taking on our certifications. Okay. And what this actually shows is just shows the infrastructure exams. Don't forget the MTA does our developer and our database exams. So there's a lot wider remit than just the infrastructure. And there's a whole lot of mapping out there. People doing the whole battle of, is CompTIA better? Is the MTA better? And in terms of this mapping, as it were, they've found that 85% of content that's in the the Network Plus and the Security Plus was actually covered in the MTA security and networking. So in terms of a provider in the US actually that does cybercrime courses, they switched the courseware from traditional CompTIA courseware to MTA courseware, they found they reduced the course time, and the exam results increased at the same time as well. So not only were they getting the CompTIA Security Plus, they're also getting the MTA Security as well. So in terms of why I think the MCTs are best at teaching the MTA, well, do you know these gentlemen? Okay, some people do, some people don't. Okay, so these are, we've got Telmo on the left there, is an MCT, well-respected MCT in the US. I've got David Alfassi in the middle, and everyone should know Ken Rosen. And basically, I've shown this picture here. Early this year at TechEd in the States, these gentlemen did an MTA challenge of who can pass the most MTA exams in an hour. And I think it was a case of, was it Telmo that won? Does anyone remember? I don't know. Telmo won, yeah, cool. So basically, one thing that we don't have in the UK is a case of teachers, once they finish their education at university, then go directly into teacher training, and that's it. So they don't have to do any further certification exams or anything like that to keep up to date. So we as MCTs do, so we make sure we definitely know how to take exams. We also have that real life stories. We can talk about things that have gone wrong and how to fix them. So we have those wonderful examples, and we understand the industry as a whole, so we're not just looking at the tiny picture. And I definitely think great role models. Hey, saying like, hey, look at me. Do you want to be me? I hope so. Okay. So just gonna finish off on the kind of resources that you have. Okay. So one thing people say in the Battle for Young Minds, the case of, hey, they don't want to have someone up here talking to them for so long. They want to try to do different things and talk about your managing learning. You get to hear all these wonderful, great terms. And one massive term I'm hearing a lot now is flipping. Has anyone heard of what flipping is? Have you heard of flipping? Just one hand gone up there. Okay. So basically, the idea is the young person or any student does the learning for that lesson at home. But next day, when they come in, they can ask questions about what they've actually have got questions about, or if there's some issues they don't understand, and you can literally just go through a summary of the information that's there. So you're targeting the key points rather than standing up and teaching everything from A to Z. So kind of resources available for you are, well, if you're through the IT Academy subscription, you got the exam review kits, you got student study guides, and the MOAC. Okay, those are all free for IT Academies to go and just start the course tomorrow. On the right, we've got the Microsoft Virtual Academy. So Microsoft Virtual Academy recently has started doing entry-level training for all the different MTAs. And at the moment, you got database fundamentals and network fundamentals available. So this will be fantastic if you do decide to teach an MTA class, saying, hey, go look at these MVA classes, and then tomorrow we'll talk about X, Y, and Z. Okay. So that's the MVA page there. So definitely I would recommend you go look at it. And what I like to say is, in terms of when the content's free for the trainers, it's all electronic on the IT Academy. So don't expect to get physical books. You can actually get physical books if you want to, but it's all PDFs that you get from the IT Academy. And you should know that from the courseware marketplace, you can get the training guides, which are essentially the MOAC that you get in the IT Academy rebranded. It's the same course. So if you can deliver in a commercial environment, you can deliver in the academic environment as well. You might have to support somebody who would be actually saying, I'm a self-study person, what do I use there? So Sybex have actually launched a whole list of courseware that they can go away and read as well. So that's if you have those people like to have their textbooks in front of them, this is a wonderful set of textbooks there. Definitely great for self-study. CCI Learning, so this is again a very much an academic environment provider. They've also got their courseware there. I haven't actually personally used the CCI Learning courseware, so I can't really speak for them. There's mixed results out there. Some people love them. It's like Marmite. You like it or you hate it, basically. Does everyone know what Marmite is? Okay, good. Okay, just making sure. Okay. Again, talk about flipping, getting in someone else to do the training. CB Nuggets have our infrastructure MTA training there, so definitely I recommend that you go look at that. LearnKey training, again, just like CB Nuggets, they've got some video training for you to use and get the instructor out there. So unlike CPT Nuggets, which is basically all chalk and talk, that Learn Key, has anyone actually seen Learn Key? No? Okay. You actually have a guy standing up and say, hey, let me teach you. It's kind of freaky sometimes, but it's quite cool at the same time. But it's a complete solution. So what they do there, they have a little instructor talking, they have a little lab, and then they have a little quiz. So it's great to actually engage young people with as well. And don't forget, these young people will be taking their first certification exam. So MeasureUp is an invaluable tool to help them prepare for the exams. It's just practice tests on how to actually answer questions, the different types of questions that come up. So I definitely recommend you get them looking at MeasureUp. And if your organization may not use MeasureUp, we've actually got Are You Certifiable? So has anyone actually played with Are You Certifiable? One, two, a few hands there, okay. So just search for Are You Certifiable, and you'll find that you've got a wonderful whole list of practice questions for them to choose from, okay. Right, so almost to the end here. A bit of call to action for you folks there. So I really think, like I said, you guys will be the best people to go and help the academic community with the MTA. So what I would love for you guys to do is use the IT Academy locator, find your closest IT Academy, reach out to them and say, hey, do you need any help? You could probably do some train-the-teacher stuff. So basically, hey, if your teachers can't teach the MTA or don't really understand, I don't know, .NET fundamentals or how to do some HTML5 programming, you can go and step in that way and help those teachers skill up. Or if you have the time, and please remember this, unfortunately schools don't have a lot of money. So if you're going to go and say, hey, I'll teach your MTA class for you, you'll be looking at some very reduced rates. So, but if you want to do it as a CSR, corporate social responsibility, definitely go and do and help them out. The other thing is, all these schools have these wonderful IT Academy subscriptions, but they never actually use all the different tools in there. So as MCTs, you can go and say, hey, have you looked at this tool here? Like, for example, you've got e-learning. You've got, which has wonderful labs from Ronald. He's not here at the moment. You've got a free subscription to Safari Books Online, so lots of courseware at the fingertips. You've got the wonderful ERK, the MOAC. You've also, I can't remember what else you've got. It's just so much content. We'll look at that in just a second. And if you haven't done this yet, talk to your learning partner. Say, hey, are you guys doing the MTA? It'd be great for you to guys look at the entry-level certification pathway, because A, the market's changing in terms of the young people. The young people are saying, hey, we want to learn stuff that could help us and put us on the right certification pathway. And also with the recession still not completely gone, and a lot of people are looking for career changing and whatnot. So just want to show you the IT Academy site, okay. Has anyone used the IT Academy site at all? Any hands? No? Okay. Okay. So basically, this is the IT Academy portal, and literally, let's go to My Academy. It loads. Okay. So, okay, it's telling me I need to renew, but we'll do later. Okay. So it goes through a whole lot of content. You get curriculum, i.e., free courseware. What you also get is free exams. So each IT Academy gets 10 MOS exam vouchers and 20 MTA vouchers. There's been loads of times when I've gone and consulted for an IT Academy and said, do you know you have this? I said, really? We don't know. Okay, so definitely there's these wonderful vouchers there. You might be aware of this. They've launched the Microsoft Certified Educator Program, so there's a teacher starter kit and a voucher to go and take that exam there. There's also something that you would love to know is every IT Academy gets one free MCT voucher. So you can become an MCT if you're an IT Academy. Again, they don't use this. Free software. Basically, an IT Academy gets DreamSpark for free, so that includes your server, your client, to use in their lab environment. So that's all there. Students can apply for it themselves for free as well. Wonderful marketing resources and special offers. Every so often you get special offers in terms of certification exams and whatnot through the IT Academy program. So definitely, if I could stress on you this, please reach out to your local IT academy and help them, because they're probably struggling, but they don't know who to talk to. What they usually have in countries are Microsoft Academics solution partners, and in most countries they tend to just be sellers. So they don't understand the tools, they don't understand the curriculum, they don't understand the certification pathway. All they know is, how many exams do you want to buy? How many books do you want to buy? So as MCTs, you would probably help out these schools and colleges massively. Okay. I've lost my slide deck. There it is. Okay. Okay. So finally, okay, just want to ask you, do you have any questions, queries, or comments? Go, Mark. Yes. Yes. Okay, so first comment was that basically, sorry, remind me again, Mark. Okay, yeah, the difference of rates as well. Okay, in the IT apprenticeship space, this depends upon the training provider. They can, what I mean by rates, and this you're gonna probably gonna get shocked as well. Okay, they can't really, I don't know how much they offer in mainland Europe, but realistically we're talking about maybe £200, £250 a day is what they could probably offer an MTA trainer. So I don't know how much that kind of falls into your kind of rates there. What we find is the case in the academic space. Yes, you get the young and not talented person, but it'd be nice that maybe you take the higher rate and say you teach their trainers so they become better. So maybe you can get your high-end rate that way rather than going directly to the student. In terms of the comment about whether it's a different rate of, sorry, different way of teaching, 2 hours a week, etc., depends on the provider again. What we tend to do, we tend to deliver in a week as well. So a 5-day course, start on Monday, take the exam on Friday, basically. And beforehand, because we believe in flipping, we say, here's your resources, here's your e-learning, here's your practice exams, off you go. And when they come to the classroom, they should be, if they've done the work they're supposed to do, ready for the instruction to prepare them for the exam. So depending on the training provider, but yes, there is that point of some training providers would say 2 hours a week. So, but if you're thinking about maybe time zone differences and it's remote delivery, that could be an advantage actually. Okay, Anand, sorry. Okay, so yeah. Okay, okay. The comment was, the question was, is remote delivery possible? Again, depending on the provider. Okay, we've just launched our pathway to virtual classrooms, like literally last week. So we're going in that way as well. So I think once we start doing it, everyone's going to start following. That's what happens with now in the industry right now. What else is happening is, mentioned the GCSE AQA curriculum. That's actually being taught all online by an MCT in the UK to lots of school teachers across England. Okay, so yes is the answer. Sorry, I'll hook you up. Don't worry. Okay, Mark. Sorry, repeat that again, please. Sorry. I'm presenting it as something nice to do, as an opportunity as well, in terms of, hey, you know, there's the thing that will make you sleep better at night, I suppose, which I'm not saying you don't, but the idea is, okay, so I've helped lots of school teachers to become better teachers overnight as well. That would be great sort of thing. It's more of a CSR exercise. I'm not saying this will change your life. Definitely not. It's more for helping the kids. Okay. Anything else? Okay, cool. Ooh. Okay, so if you want to talk to me, please feel free to connect. There's my email, my website. I'm on all the social networks, so feel free to follow. Love to talk to you about MTA and entry-level certification. That's what I tend to talk about a lot right now on my blog. So definitely, I hope you found that interesting and enjoyable, and thank you for your attention.